Good morning. It's a beautiful spring morning and there have been a couple things I've been meaning to do. The first is to forage more greens. I love foraging greens and spring is the perfect time. There's lots of edible wild plants out there that you can pick. I did start a garden this year and I've been really preoccupied with that, but I don't want to let it stand in my way. So today I'm going to make it a priority to go forage some greens. The other thing that's been kind of on my mind is this. Can you make ravioli with lasagna noodles? It's silly, I know, but I've been thinking about it kind of a lot. I know the lasagna noodles are going to be a little bit thicker than you'd get pasta for ravioli, but it still seems like you should be able to do some sort of a weeknight ravioli hack with it. So I'm going to do both those things today. We're going to go out, we're going to forage some greens, and I'm going to make lasagna ravioli noodles. Let's go find our greenery. This is garlic mustard. This one here, the seed pods, the sort of heart-shaped serrated leaves, and the little white flowers. This is the second-year version of the plant, and it's been growing in my backyard where honestly I've been trying to eradicate it. It's an invasive plant and very hard to get rid of because it comes up early in the spring and it shoots chemicals down into the soil that make it hard for other plants to grow. It is, however, edible. It has the texture of spinach with a garlicky flavor and a little bit of bitterness. Since I can't totally seem to get rid of it, might as well pick it and eat it. At least we'll get rid of some of it. All parts of the plant are edible, technically. The stems, I mean, you can eat them theoretically, but they're going to be not very pleasant and sort of woody. The leaves are what I typically eat. They've got, again, that spinach and garlicky flavor. The seed pods you can eat as well. They've got a little bit of a pepperiness to them. And the flowers, they taste a lot like the leaves. The roots, on the other hand, have a horseradish-like flavor. I would recommend getting some bigger plants than this to make it worth pulling them up. But if you do, you can make your own garlic mustard horseradishy condiment. These are stinging nettles, thusly named because they sting. If you look along the stem, you can see all those very fine hairs. That is what's going to get you. Some types also have hairs on the backs of the leaves, but these ones have very few. Stinging nettles are very spinach-like in their texture, but they have a little bit more of an herby quality to them. They're not very bitter and they're nutritious. I recommend using gloves when you harvest them, or just do your best. And only pick the first few sets of leaves. After that, they will become bitter. Look, we found another edible weed. I'm sure many of you know this one, the dandelion. You can eat dandelions themselves, but mostly I pick dandelions for their greens. There can be a lot of variation in dandelion leaf shape. So your best chance of IDing them really comes down to identifying the flowers. You can see this one, very spiky along the stem, and it's narrow and thin. Sometimes they get a lot thicker and a lot bigger. Now, dandelion greens are often eaten, especially in Asian cuisines. We're going to pick some of them today. They are, tender, delicious, but like most wild greens, more bitter than what we buy in the grocery store. Stop and say hi to the May apples, and oh look, you can just see the little May apples forming. We found some lamb's quarters. If you don't like bitter greens, these are some of the most tender and non-offensive wild greens out there. Just honestly, I know the word spinach gets thrown out a lot, but think spinach. We'll definitely be picking some of these today. I found some mint. I think this one must have escaped someone's garden at some point, but it's here, so I'm going to pick some. Here's a good plant not to pick. Don't eat that one. In fact, don't touch it. See this plant? With the wispy little flaky leaves and the white undersides? This is mugwort. It's also got a little bit of an herby flavor, and I think it's quite delicious. It's common in Korean food and medicine, so let's pick some of that too. We've got all our greens ready. Our garlic mustard. I'm going to take these off the stems because the stems will be too fibrous. Just a few dandelion greens. I found some nice long ones. These are all a little bit wilted just from walking out in the sun. Our mugwort. Our lamb's quarters. The stinging nettle. Now, the stinging nettle will still sting, but you don't need to worry too much because other than being kind of painful and annoying, it's not actually harmful. In fact, some people purposefully sting themselves with nettles because they think it helps with arthritis, which maybe, who knows. There are also nettle eating competitions where people eat raw stinging nettles, kind of like a chili pepper eating competition. It's dumb, but not dangerous. Fortunately, one of the things that will stop a stinging nettle from stinging is cooking it, so we're going to do that. Finally, our little handful of mint that maybe didn't start life wild, but ended up that way. I'm going to put the mint aside, and all the other greens I'm just going to lightly steam for a few minutes. Let's steam these greens. 5 minutes, and they are more tender and pliable. Now let's chop it all up quite finely, along with this mint. Let's make a nice little creamy, cheesy sauce to go with our greens. So I've got half a cup of cashews that I softened just by microwaving them in water for 5 minutes. And let's add the juice of half a lemon. Let's go in with about a tablespoon of miso paste, some nutritional yeast, and then we'll blend. I'm going to add water as I need it until I get a nice, thick, but smooth paste. Look at that. It's like the perfect ratio. Mostly greens, but just enough creamy cashew sauce to hold it all together. And now let's make our ravioli. We've got our noodles, and I'm going to try putting down about half a tablespoon of filling. Brush some water around the edges and top with another noodle. It's not like I'm not getting anything, but it's like the size, having any substantial amount of ravioli in it seems like it's not gonna close. Okay, I tried the ravioli, and the problem is you have to have only the tiniest bit of filling if you want it to close. Otherwise, the difference in the surface of the noodle is too much, and I cannot get it to seal. I guess another difference between this and fresh ravioli dough is that it doesn't have the plasticity. So, change of plans. Cover with a generous amount of filling. And roll. We'll add some tomato sauce to the bottom of this baking dish, and then add our little rolled noodle, and repeat. And here they are. I'm going to cover it and then bake for about 30 to 40 minutes, probably 40 minutes. And that's what you call a pivot. So I guess we've learned some things. I've learned that you cannot, in fact, make ravioli with lasagna noodles unless you want to make very thin ravioli. If you make very thin ravioli, I think it might work nicely, but then what's the point? So let's turn to these pivoted lasagna rolls. That's nice. It's got a lot of green flavor and actually different green flavors. Like you can taste little bits of different greens, different amounts in different bites. It definitely is more bitter than if you just used spinach, but less bitter than if you'd used like all dandelion greens. Generally speaking, as we've bred vegetables, they've become sweeter, less bitter, and less nutritious. So there's something about trying wild greens that almost feels like you're tasting more like what plants are meant to taste like. I hope you enjoyed going and doing some foraging with me. I love being able to pick up essentially free vegetables just by walking around my neighborhood. I don't think that I've shared enough about any of these plants to really help you identify them. I think it's more of a good starting off point where you can see a plant and say, oh, I think I recognize that. I think that grows around me. I had no idea I could eat it. And then you could go from there and research it. But make sure that you do research plants before you just go ahead and pick and eat them, because not all the plants out there are good for us to eat. Additionally, make sure you know the area you're picking in, because it could be sprayed with pesticides and it just might not be that safe for you to eat. So make sure you're picking somewhere you know and something that you know. Until next week, if you could like this video, I'd very much appreciate it. And if you're a forager yourself, tell me your favorite wild thing to forage in the comments below. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Come on, you have to say hi to her. Want some pasta? Come on up.